All right, individuals are currently a part of Stokvels in South Africa. This according to the African Response Research Company. Their research indicated that there are more than 421,000 Stokvels in South Africa with a collective value of 25 billion rand. Stockvels has become one of the most efficient ways to save, and so much so that the government has actually acknowledged the role of Stokvel, helping to create a conducive environment for banks to offer a formal savings initiative. Now, joining us this morning is Vusi Ndwandwe from ABSA Bank. A very good morning to you, Vusi. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for
welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you.
All right, now take us through the role of Stokvels in South Africa. Just how prevalent is it?
Actually, Stockvels has been growing quite significantly over the last few years, and it continues to be a key investment vehicle for people who choose not to go into the individual investment space. What that practically means is instead of going out on my own, I go with a group of friends and we say, what is it that we think we can do as a common objectives, and we put money together. And we think that part of that is just creating that sort of social cohesion and peer pressure that you continue to invest for the goals that you've set for yourselves.
Yeah, is it also available in other parts of the continent?
Yes, absolutely. As you know, ABSA Bank has do business in 12 other countries in Africa, and we continue to see it growing out in those areas. Even though it's slightly a lot more informal than it is in South Africa out there, but it's still a continuing investment cycle for people.
So do individuals get taxed in a Stokvel?
No. So maybe let me just talk a little bit about the tax-free savings initiative that the government, together with the financial institutions, have implemented over the last few years. Currently, the regulation only caters for individuals, so the group savings schemes are not yet part of the tax-free savings environment. Currently, we are in negotiations with the government, together with other stakeholders in the industry, to make sure that the schemes are forming part of that.
Okay, so at the moment, the government still hasn't officially recognized Stokvels?
No, it does recognize Stokvels as a savings vehicle, but it is not tax savings free at this stage.
Right. So are Stokvels for long or short term?
There's a variety of Stokvels that are available around in the country. In fact, I could just give you a sense. There's three groups of Stokvels. The first group is when people are saving for risk, i.e. it's burial society. So I'm expecting to expand at some point in time in future, and I will then save money for that purpose. And then there's a second category where people are saving to spend for a particular purpose, which is we're saving for holiday, or we're saving for groceries. At the end of the year, we split up the funds and we go and purchase whatever we need to purchase. Then there's a third category, which more often people don't talk about, which is investment clubs, which tends to invest for investment purposes, and they take a little bit of risk in the capital that they put out there. For example, they can go and buy a bulk of shares from a JSE stock exchange, or alternatively they can buy property for rental purposes. So you get a myriad of activity within the Stokvel environment. So
which is more popular, and which one would you advise people to go for?
By far, the one that's been dominant over many years is a burial society, for the fact that you cannot foresee the expense and when it's going to take place. So that's where most of the activity takes place. But the one that's been growing quite steadily over the last few years is the savings one, where people are saving for a specific goal. And you can imagine, when we look at the data in our bank, we see that people, particularly around November, December, then they start withdrawing down on some of the investments, because then they go and purchase whatever it is that they plan to purchase for Christmas period. And then now in January, you start seeing the investment coming back because people are getting back together again.
True. Now, Vusi, there's actually no doubt that the growth of Stokvels might kill the banking industry in the medium to the long term because of easy access to credit and mini loans.
Actually, we think that it's not that won't necessarily be the case, because first and foremost, I must just give you the number. Currently, the banking system see 4 out of 10 rand, 4 rand out of each 10 rand that's participating in the Stokvel. So there's a lot of funds that are not within the banking system as we speak, which is money that's sitting either in someone's under mattress or something like that, where obviously there's a lot of risk in the process. So the more we can provide the solutions and the customer experiences that are in sort of conducive for that segment to save money in financial institutions, we think that's a good opportunity for banks. And then the other side of it is that the safety of capital when it's sitting in the financial institutions is guaranteed. So when the money is sitting in the bank, you know it's going to be there, and at the time when it needs to be invested or at the time it matures, the members will be able to find the funds. And lastly, if I was just to add that particular point, is that, you know, when the account is sitting in the bank, it's got controls around it. There are few people, you can't just walk in and withdraw money because you put controls around it, how many people can sign for the account and so forth.
But the issue is the high banking charges and the low interest, which is actually a repellent, and people are finding Stockvels as a solace.
Yeah, so I must say that over the last few years, I mean, banks, including ours, have made quite a significant change in the pricing structure of Stockvels. I can give you an example with one of our products where we ask for customers to bring a minimum of 50 rand. Minimum of 50 rand, you can open a group savings account, and there's no monthly fees.
Okay.
As long as you keep on putting the money into the account, then there's no monthly fees that you're going to be charged every single month.
Okay, so do Stockvels exist only in poor communities, you reckon?
No. As I mentioned earlier, I don't think that will be the case, because we see investment clubs that are kind of, you can see the behavior in the accounts, that is someone who's sitting at LSM 10, 9 or 10, given the sophistication in the products that they invest their money in. Yeah. So we think it's generally a common investment vehicle for most people.
Just briefly, in 20 seconds, what advice would you have for people who would like to join a Stockvel?
I would say get a few friends together, get a common goal, come and open a Stokvel account at the bank of your choice. Obviously, we would prefer that it would be ABSA for that matter. Right. And save for the long-term goals.
All right, Mr. Ndwandwe, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That was Vusi Ndwandwe from ABSA Bank, just giving us an overview about the role that Stockvels have played in South Africa as a vehicle for, you know, poverty alleviation and social advancement. Well, this is Morning Live. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with more after this.